Scheduled public meeting of August 14th. Sorry, just 1 second.
Sounds like the new Gallagher.
Hello.
Lucky as man.
Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of August 14th, 2023 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, Electronic Message Board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Casio?
Here.
Councilwoman Feeney? Councilman Sears?
Here.
Councilwoman Velez?
Here.
Council President Morgan?
Here. Let the record reflect, also in attendance, Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator DeCarlo, Township Attorney Poller, Township Clerk Witkowski, and Mr. John Yakimic via Zoom. PSA, new community alert system. Receive community information instantly. Sign up at nixle.com. That's nixle.com. We remind residents to please pick up after their pet. It is the law. Township Code 137-19. Scoop it, bag it, and put it in the trash. Cameras have been installed in our parks. As a friendly reminder, dumping of household waste in our parks' trash cans is in direct violation of Township Ordinance 373-89. Violators will be fined. Please keep our parks and neighborhood clean. Family-friendly summer concert featuring modern country band Big Hicks has been rescheduled to Sunday, August 20th at Memorial Field. Gates open at 4 p.m. Showtime at 5 p.m. Parking available at Bethany Community Center. 80/20 Smash Burger and Kona Ice will be on site selling food and ices. The Township of Washington book bin is now open and accepting books. The bin is located at Town Hall. Thanks to the VFW Post 6192, we now have a drop bin located outside the library next to the locker system where you can retire U.S. flags properly. Our annual flu clinic will be held on Wednesday, September 27th from noon to 1 p.m. at Town Hall. The Township of Washington Ambulance Corps is looking for volunteers. If you can volunteer, please call WTVAC headquarters at 201-664-3784. Leave a message. Either President Bob Ehlers or Captain Trevor Landau will return your call. Township offices will be closed Monday, September 4th for Labor Day. Our next council meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. Okay, approval of minutes, March 27th, 2023 budget meeting. I'm going to actually go through all 4. Can I to approve? Yes. Okay, March 28th, 2023 budget meeting, April 3rd, 2023 public meeting, and April 3rd, 2023 conference and budget meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney? Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. And we have some mayor appointments.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Yes, I do have a few law enforcement positions to announce? Please be advised that having received the recommendation and endorsement for appointment of the following people from the Director of Public Safety, I am hereby approving the following people to the office position listed below and their terms. Special Law Enforcement, Class 3, effective date August 14, 2023, John DiGirolamo and Nicholas Copolicia. Excuse me for any mispronunciations. Then we have a Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2 full-time, effective date June 28, 2023, Nicholas Hilzaris. And lastly, Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 3, effective date August 1st, 2023, Brian Metzler. Sue, do I read the crossing guards?
If you would, please.
Sure, okay.
Thank you.
The following crossing guards are being appointed for the upcoming school year, 2023-2024. Angela Boccia, Joseph Boccia, James Mahalish, John Jack Walsh, Anush Yanokian, and Scott Zwain. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of Administrator.
Thank you, Council President. Council, this is my response to resident and council concerns and/or questions from the July 10th, 2023 meeting. Resident concerns or questions: Mrs. Lipnick requesting freshening up of the wood chips surrounding the new plantings on Finity Place. The DPW completed it the week of July 18th. Mrs. Dembra conveyed concerns of speed on Colonial Boulevard. The information was provided to Chief Skinner. The police department addresses speeding concerns on Colonial Boulevard regularly, as it is a through street. Chief Skinner deployed a digital speed sign as well. Mr. Rogers requested speed humps on streets surrounding Schlegel Lake in order to address speeding concerns. The request was provided to Chief Skinner. Council concerns and/or questions. The following questions asked by council members are regarding the information provided by administration of the difference card. The difference card is our alternative to the increasing costs of premiums with the state health benefits plan. Councilwoman Feeney asked if when the difference card issues a reimbursement to the member, is it a taxable event? I spoke with John Clancy from Trinity Brokerage, who informed me that no transactions are taxable because it is in fact a reimbursement to the member. Councilwoman Feeney additionally asked if there is a submission deadline for claims. John Clancy informed that the submission deadline is March 31st of the following year that the services were rendered. John Clancy also informed that the client, in this case the Township of Washington, may request on behalf of the member an exception to the deadline. Councilman Cascio asked regarding the third-party administrator. If we contract with the difference card, this company is actually considered the third-party administrator. The difference card does not conduct direct business with the client and requires an insurance broker. In this case, it would be John Clancy from Trinity Brokerage. The Township of Washington does not pay Trinity Brokerage. Blue Cross Blue Shields does. John Clancy, as the broker, protects the best interests of the member and represents on our behalf if there is concerns with claims or billings. As far as updates, the Township state aid for 2023 has been increased from $750,745 to $792,897. This will assist the township when calculating revenue for the 2024 budget. And additionally, I'd like to thank the council for completing their stormwater online training. That was very helpful. Thank you. That concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you. Okay, report of Mayor.
Thank you again, Council President. Good evening once again. Police Department news. In conjunction with the Washington Township Fire Department and Ambulance Corps, Corporal Ozenbrook and the Washington Township Library ran the yearly Safety Town Education Program. This is a free community program which meets on 4 consecutive Saturdays and is designed to teach kindergarten-age children about the different areas of public safety. Graduation was held on July 29th for 22 students and was attended by myself, Chief Skinner, Detective Corporal Cangelosi, Corporal Ozenbrook, Council Members Sears and Velez, and Laura Rifkin. Chief Skinner, Captain Calamari, Lieutenants Pecora and Shearer, and Sergeant Glock attended a Traffic and Safety Committee meeting regarding the area surrounding Washington School. In addition to the options the Board of Ed has and will hopefully consider, all officers currently believe sidewalks are needed on Wayne Place to ensure pedestrian safety. Recreation news. The 2023 summer camp program ended on Friday, August 4th. Parents have already given us great feedback on the program. We thank Chris Pinto and his team of supervisors and counselors for making this another successful year. We also thank Bethany Community Center and their staff for allowing us to use their center. They are always a great partner for many of our town events. The Introduction to Cheer program started its third season on Saturday, August 5th. There are 56 participants, and the program continues to grow each season. The Fun with Art program will be back for its third season this fall. Program registration will be from Friday, September 1st through Sunday, October 1st. The registration initially is for township residents only. However, if the maximum number of 15 registrants is not met by Monday, September 18th, the program will open to non-residents. Once the maximum number is met, a wait list will be created through the last day of registration. Please visit the recreation page on the town's website for more information about this and other programs. Fire department news. For the month of July, the department responded to multiple CO and fire alarm calls. On July 4th, they responded to the shopping center for a garbage can fire set by fireworks. They also responded to Emerson to provide coverage during a house fire. On July 14th, they responded for mutual aid to Paramus for coverage during a working fire as well. On July 29th, the town experienced a quick storm that took some tree limbs down. 2 houses reported damage and requested the fire department check them for hazards. Thankfully, no extreme hazards were reported. Lastly, the department happily participated in the summer rec program every Wednesday to spray down the campgoers, and the children always enjoy that event. DPW news. Grass and yard debris continue to be collected weekly. Household bulk debris was collected last week. The next metal collection will be on August 17th. They assisted the green team with spreading mulch and the installation of a bird bath. They had all the town parks and properties sprayed for spotted lanternflies. They painted stop lines, crosswalks, and yellow curbs at the George and Washington school zones in anticipation of the start of school. Along with the fire department, they responded after hours on July 29th to address damage at multiple locations, also due to the storm that passed through the area. Recreation Advisory Board. Regarding the former swim club property, Boswell Engineering believes a full survey of the property should take place at this time, as every foot of usable space matters. After it is complete, they will submit another plan for the board to review. Emergency Waterway Bank Stabilization. On July 26th, Boswell submitted a proposal for engineering and New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection permitting services to stabilize stream banks at 2 locations along the Musquaxink Brook. The estimated fee is $49,500 with $825 for additional expenses. We are also working with Frank Rossi from Boswell to create an educational mailing piece for the residents of the town. The piece will cover items that all residents of the town can do to assist in proper stormwater management and the responsibilities of residents who border a waterway. Since it has been some time since we did a townwide mailing, we have also asked our department heads if there is any information they would like to share with our residents. Intersection news. Easement documents for a bus shelter have been forwarded to the property owner at the northwest quadrant of the site. ADA ramp certifications per the shared service agreement are being performed by Boswell. 1 ramp has been found to be non-compliant and will be addressed. The county will be adjusting the stop bar locations to accommodate larger vehicles. Pascack Road resurfacing. A pre-con meeting will take place this week to kick things off to resurface Pascack Road between Linwood Avenue and the Hillsdale border. I want to thank the people at the county for the attention they are giving their roads that run through the township. Additional county road resurfacing. The county is scheduled to resurface the entire length of East Glen Avenue, Van Emberg Avenue, and Ridgewood Road between Pascack Road and East Glen Avenue in 2025. In accordance with county policy, the municipal engineer shall prepare design sketches for all ADA sidewalk ramps within the limits of the resurfacing for approval by the county, and Flowing Construction certify their construction compliance. Flowing should be following, sorry about that. 2023 road improvement program. Plan specification and construction cost estimates have been sent by Boswell to New Jersey Department of Transportation for review comments. Comments are expected from them this week. The township has received a $159,000 fiscal year 2023 New Jersey Department of Transportation local aid grant for improvements to Beach Street from Ridgewood Road to Cypress Street. Improvements to roads funded by the township include Clark Avenue, Sunset Lane, and Cypress Street are also included in this year's program. Salem Road Sanitary Sewer. Bids were received for the project, and the council will vote on a resolution tonight allowing the work to commence. DPW facility news. There were two interesting and related articles within pages of each other in the August 7th edition of the Pascack Press. Rivervale went out to bid for a new police headquarters. The bids came in around $16 million. Just 2 years ago, the estimates were about $12.5 million, a $3.5 million difference. The administrator and CFO of Rivervale said, leaps in construction and material costs, project delays, and overall inflation have driven costs up and require more funds to complete the project. Those amounts are for an 18,000 square foot facility. The second article was about the $3.5 million increase in cost to expand our police department into the proposed new DPW building. It should be noted that our cost estimates are already in today's dollars. Of course, we will wait to see what the architect comes back with in redesigning the police department's existing space. I would like to again note that Rivervale is looking for 18,000 square feet of space for their new police department building. Our architect and senior members of the police department, they can do very well in about half that space. If the decision is made to renovate the existing police department space, there will also be a potential cost of finding temporary space for them to operate out of 24 hours a day while their space is undergoing renovation. I mention these facts not to pressure the members of the council or the public, but to show the costs our surrounding communities also face regarding these issues. We've come a long way in the past 6 years by delivering many infrastructure projects that previous administrations and councils waited far too long to address. We have an opportunity to finish the job for both departments with an additional $3.5 million. This is undeniably a lot of money, but looked at another way, it is only the difference that Rivervale will be paying for having delayed their project by 2 years. The residents have made it clear they do not want these operations anyplace else in town. We now have a unique opportunity to address the needs of both the DPW and police departments at the same time, and it is one that will meet their requirements in the current location for many years to come. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. I just have a question, Mayor, on one of your update topics.
Of course.
For the swim club, you mentioned that that Boswell's recommending a full survey take place, and once complete, they'll be sending it to the board for review. Would that be the rec?
I'm sorry, finish your question, I'm sorry.
Was that the rec board?
The rec advisory board, yes.
So, because the council's the only entity that has voting power, when are we going to get those recommendations? And what if the board decides at that time when they're being shown that they don't like it? What if we had a different opinion on whatever they're finding, if they're, say we can't?
I will say that the rec advisory board, as we all know, is, hence the name, an advisory board. Mm-hmm. They advise myself and the council on different things having to do with recreation, including the fields. It was let me say, I stated in the beginning that I would be working with the Rec Advisory Board on this, and then they would present their recommendation to myself, even though I sit on that board, and the council. There are some proposals that we've already had that just won't work, hence Boswell's request for a full survey on the property. Once that's done and Boswell presents what will actually work on the property, I would say that the Rec Advisory Board will make a recommendation, but also we will put whatever plans Boswell comes up with to the council. So let's say there's 2 or 3 of them. You'll see the 2 or 3, but you'll also see that the Rec Advisory Board recommends one, and I'm sure they will give their reasons for the recommendation. But as I said in the beginning, this is a council decision because council controls the funding, and nothing happens without the funding on these projects. So that's the path I envision it taking.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Report of council. So, Councilman Casio.
Thank you, Madam President. I really have no report for tonight. It's been a great summer so far with some real interesting weather events. I just hope everyone is enjoying their summer and they remain safe until we get back in full session in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sears.
Yes, thank you, Council President. If I can ask the cable TV guy to post the picture I sent him?
The guy?
No, I can't mention his name.
WCTV.
Yes. Okay. If you notice on the left side of the screen, 4 weeks ago, after 2 years of cleaning up Lincoln Park, scout projects to bake trails, 4 weeks ago, somebody dumped that couch up in the park. So I'm asking the public, if you know where it came from, or if you have a clue who dragged it and dumped it in the park, please reach out to the police department. If you don't feel comfortable, send me an email and I will send it over to the police department. But that's utterly disgusting to dump that couch after 2 years of hard work this community put into cleaning up that park. So please, if you know where it came from, or if you know who dragged it, let the police know. If you don't, send me an email and I will let the police know for you. The bridge crossing project is just about done. We have a little bit of cleanup left, and there will be, there's 2 signs posted that we now have cameras up there. So hopefully, thank the administrator for getting those signs up. The Green Team is starting a new grammar school project where we will be working on pencil cases, pencils, items from the library, items from the police department. So every child in both grammar schools will have a complete setup when they walk into school on the first day. We're looking at Gardner Field now for some planting. We did some measurements for trees to replace the ones that were taken down during the storm. So that is an ongoing project right now. Our CSA project, which is community support for agriculture, is taken off with a tremendous amount of support from the community. Well, we only needed 15 to start this. We're now up to 39, and we're getting more requests every day. So hopefully next year, I'll get more information out. If you like fresh fruit, fresh vegetables delivered every Tuesday, this is the place. It gets delivered to the library and we hand it out. So if you're interested, please reach out to me if you can. We are now working with Easy Ride and the police department on doing a traffic study on Beach and Colonial heading towards the school. They have 2 types of signs where we measure the amount of cars that are traveling on Beach and Colonial. And then eventually they'll be putting a speed limit up, digital sign up there. That's going to be about 3 weeks. So the chief of police is behind it, and hopefully we can move forward with this project, and that will help us towards our Safe Street project for goal for next year. News on the VFW, which was stated that the new flag drop-off box was placed in 3 weeks ago. We have over 190 American flags that were put in the box, which is astonishing. The only thing I do request is if you have an American flag on a stick, please don't push the stick into the box because it jams it up. Just rip the flag off the stick and just put the flag in the box, and we'd appreciate that because it clogs the box up. And the VFW Post 6192 will be doing a membership drive. If you're interested, please reach out to me. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Velez.
Yes, thank you. All right, just to repeat a little bit of the PSA, the family-friendly summer concert is taking place on Sunday, August 20th. This is a rescheduled date from June. The gates open at 4 and the show starts at 5 p.m. We will be featuring Big Hicks. This is a modern country band. Parking will be available at Bethany, so we look forward to that and we hope to see all our residents there. In terms of the book bin that is outside of Town Hall, we are actively accepting donations. Please be sure to use the correct bin. It's the big green one, not the ballot box. Unfortunately, there have been some books placed in front of the ballot box. So if you could just check out the big one that says donate books here, that is the big green one, and it is not locked. There's actually a slot where you can deposit any of your donations. The 9/11 ceremony, it will be taking place on Monday, September 11th. I just have to make a correction. Our calendar says 9:30 a.m., but that was due to it being on Sunday last year. The new time is 6 p.m. It will take place at Town Hall by the 9/11 monument. But should there be inclement weather, we will move it indoors as usual. Again, that's Monday, September 11th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. And then lastly, save the date for our annual Town Day, which is taking place Saturday, October 7th at Memorial Field from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Town Day Committee is really excited to present our theme this year. It is a colonial fall festival theme, so we will be bringing back the apple pie eating contest. We are absolutely in need of volunteers to make a day like this happen. We're also looking for sponsorship. So if you are a business in town or locally and want to get your name out there, we would love to have you join us. You can also be an informational vendor for our day. It's always a fun day for families, friends, neighbors come together. We have our inflatables, we have our food vendors, and the famous fishbowl tossed by the Golden Seniors that cannot be missed. So again, October 7th, 2023 at Memorial Field from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Volunteers are absolutely needed. So please reach out to me and I'm happy to get you set up. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Velez. To piggyback off of the, okay. Let the record reflect also in attendance is Councilwoman Feeney. Are you ready with an update?
No, that's about. I'm good for right now. I'm sorry I was late. I was
Stuck at work.
Oh, that's okay. All right. So just to piggyback off of the rec department information regarding cheer and the town day from Councilwoman Velez, the cheer program is extremely successful. This year we have 54 registrants, 20 volunteers, all children, all between 7th grade through 9th grade, 20, girls giving of their time every Saturday and not expecting a paycheck in the end speaks volumes to our adolescents and our youth in this community. We have 7 adult moms who are on hand, so it's basically a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's a really nice program. Just from the safety point, we do have all of the moms. I have all of their badges, which means they are background checked. So everybody, your kids are in good hands. We will be attending the kindergarten and first grade along with Westwood second grade through eighth grade. We will be attending Town Day, and they will be showing all of their hard work, which will be the commencement of the kindergarten and first grade cheer, the end of the 10-week cheer program. So look for them at Town Day. And then there is a shout out also to the police department. A resident contacted me and wanted me to extend their gratitude. The family of Maria Castelbuono, the police responded to the house on Wednesday and were tirelessly performing CPR. They got there very quickly. The family just wants to extend their gratitude. Unfortunately, Mrs. Castelbuono did pass, and today was her funeral, followed by a procession through the neighborhood, and the neighborhood was experiencing a lot of construction. So it could have been really detrimental on an already very, sad and emotional day. The police department was wonderful, per their words, in making sure that it went very smoothly. They were super attentive, and the family's very appreciative. So kudos to our police. One thing to piggyback off of that, I just want to say I also have experienced this on my own, but I've also gotten comments from some of my elderly neighbors. We are not allowed to overnight park in Township, so when we do, we used to be able to just call the desk and
We just crashed.
you're in timeout. We used to just be able to call the desk and tell them we had an overnight guest, give them the license plate, the make of the car, and all of that. Now it's moved to the computer. So while that may be good for most people, there are a lot of people who don't either A, have a computer or can't even, it's too cumbersome to figure it out where to go, especially if you're not of this, the Generation X and Z and all this other stuff now, right? So I do feel that we need to go back to that. We are not a city where we cannot respond to our residents. It's a 5-second phone call. I can understand we don't want to take them away from police work, but I do think there's a community customer service component that we're missing by calling and say, yeah, sure, just put it on the website. So I just hope that we just go back to the way it was. It was a lot easier, and I did feel pretty, disheartened to think that we can't just take 2 minutes out of our time to do that. So I'm just going to ask, that was a great idea. I understand that, we're moving forward and it's progressive, but we have to also bear in mind that there's an aging population in town, and it may not be the most feasible or, friendliest way to kind of convey that we're working together as a community. We have to keep everybody in mind. So with that, if there's an option B that I'm not aware of, but I did ask a couple of times to just have it put through to the dispatcher and was given back the information that they have to go online. What else?
Council President, we'll speak to the police about that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Sure, that's all I have for a report, but I will.
Mr. Mayor, as part of the age-friendly initiative that we're working on, that's a great element to address through our age-friendly. So we can definitely, put that as put it on our radar.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ms. Morgan, can I just make a quick comment on that particular issue?
Sure.
In my office, we had a medical emergency, and my patient had to leave her car at my office, and I did call up the police, and they were very attentive, and they took it verbally from me. So, I don't think it's something that they won't do, but they'd rather do it on a more frequent basis through the computer.
Mm-hmm.
But they are attentive to a person's needs that has difficulty doing that, such as myself. So just to let you know that. Elderly,
admit that
there you go.
openly?
But
You
anyway,
admit that?
they were attentive to it. So I have to
Okay.
say, whoever was on dispatch that day, I thank them for that.
Yeah.
So,
It definitely shouldn't be the luck of who's on the dispatch. It should be
Right.
just a service that we provide. It's not, it doesn't take long at all. But that being said, Councilwoman Feeney, I know you said you weren't ready before. Did you have any update right now, or are you just kind of settling in?
Yeah, I'm sorry, just settling in, literally just walked in the door.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so we're going to go to general public comment. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. If by phone, *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. Each person wishing to address the council shall give his or her name for the record. And we ask that only one person speak at a time with a 5-minute time limit. Speakers are to direct all questions to the council president, and all members of the public and council are expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statement will not be permitted, and the council president will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments. Motion to open.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody that would like to come up? Yes, anyone can, anyone can.
Plenty of council's not planning.
I know
I got a lot of documents. Well, I know Susan's going to keep me to 5 minutes. But Council President, do you want to give an update to the mayor and council on the sidewalk committee before I get into my points? So
Sure, we could do that. I
Yeah.
had that as
can
part
we
of
do
the
that? And then we
business, but
can go into open session and we go through all my comments and all the documents that I prepared for tonight.
It's a little out of order. I could do that, right? I could just give an update.
Update?
It was on conference, right?
That was on conference. I have it on conference to talk about.
Unless you want to wait to conference and then you can come up,
Yeah, we could do
speak on
that.
conference.
Okay, we'll wait.
That's not the way it's supposed to be. Just, why don't you I would give an update on what happened and then let them comment.
Yeah.
on it.
All right,
I
so I'm
think
just
that's
saying, we're all right with
necessary,
doing that? I
No,
know
we
it's
can.
still-
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to give a quick update, Mrs. Kratzer, just 2 seconds. Okay? All right. So on July 31st, we had our traffic flow meeting. There were a bunch of stakeholders there, residents, I'm not going to name everybody's name, but residents from around the area who do live directly in the area that we were discussing, around Washington School. We had Mr. Yakimic, who is on Zoom. He was in attendance. Let me see. We had Lieutenant Pecora. I will name the township employees. We had Lieutenant Pecora, Sergeant Michael Glock, Captain John Calamari, Chief Rich Skinner, Lieutenant Roy Scherer, the mayor, and Mr. DiCarlo. I believe that's from the township, myself, and Councilman Sears. And then everyone else that was there were multiple people, all stakeholders. We had a couple of BOE representatives. We had one on the phone and one in person representing the Board of Ed. And am I forgetting anyone? I think that was it.
That was it.
Okay. So it was a pretty robust conversation. Mr. Yakimic gave some updates as to some of the recommendations from the prior meeting and basically reasons why some of those solutions were not going to be feasible. And a discussion, discussions were made, the traffic, let me see, there were discussions regarding placing the traffic pattern opposite of what it is to diffuse cars, using multiple different roadways to reduce the traffic. Let me see, there was short-term and long-term, and keep me honest, if you want to talk and say, yeah, you got that wrong, that's fine, the meeting minutes didn't come out yet. Short-term and long-term discussions on action plans were decided that we would start working on. Actually, the Board of Ed, Mr. Perino and I have been in contact. We just keep playing phone tag, but we're getting together to ultimately, I believe the last thing that we talked about was, as far as the short term, because it's fast approaching the school year, was, hold on. Increasing volunteers and parents to assist with the offloading. So currently there are a couple of volunteers that will take the kids out of the cars, but we need to kind of formalize. We discussed potentially coming up with a plan with Mrs. Paliento to come up with a system that causes 2 people in timeout, that causes that helps to create a better flow. More volunteers, maybe signups for parents, but that still has to be ironed out hopefully before the start of the school year. we were going to get a map coming off of Pascack and side streets that run up and down those streets to alleviate traffic in that area and kind of figure out how that was going to work. We were going to put, we discussed resolutions and ordinance changes. Chief Skinner had some questions regarding reversing the traffic. He had some reasons why he felt that wasn't going to be beneficial and could cause more traffic on other streets. Okay. And then the Board of Ed on the phone is from Westwood, stating they've already done something very similar to this. It worked in their town, so that was something that we were asking the engineer to look into. There was arguments from the residents, strong conversations that property values are going to be suffering as a result of adding sidewalks. Let's see what else. Okay, so there was some positive things that came out of this where that worked in Westwood. They said there were line of sight issues that were remedied as a result of reversing traffic. The traffic hazard for the crossing guard decreased. They had to retrain their crossing guards. It took a little bit of work, but they got there, and eventually the school board agreed at Berkeley in Westwood that this traffic pattern reversal was the answer that they were looking for. So it is something that we asked Mr. Yakimic to look into. Let me see, it really doesn't finish our situation. There was some questions about making left turns on School Street. Why, how does this what's the difference if you're also allowed to make it on Eastview? There was concerns that if we change the traffic flow, we'd be putting the traffic now into the main artery and only on 2 streets, creating a bottleneck. And then there was an argument that in Westwood, every single street has sidewalks and people are still walking in the street. There was discussions about split dismissals. There was discussions about potentially shuttling children in at a different drop-off at a centralized location and shuttling them in so that would reduce the traffic flow completely, negating any need for sidewalks. Let me see. There was a discussion to make White Birch no parking. There was discussions around buying 450 and using it for parking. And then the mayor had explained that we did apply for open space, so 450 would not be able to be used for a parking lot. And those gave some of those reasons. There was questions about making a middle school, 5th and 6th grade middle school in Township. Okay, I believe, okay, let's see. And then it just went, we just continued to kind of figure out ways to circumvent the space issue in the back of the school with multiple different directions of the traffic flow. The loop around, though, I would say, is what had the most, I'd say, like strongest feedback, where a lot of people that were at the meeting were in favor of the loop around, myself included. Let's see. So then we discussed, what are we going to do? Sidewalks will not reduce the issues we have. We need to redirect the volume of traffic, especially if school's going to expand. There was consensus in general was the block is not unsafe, it's overcrowded. And then there was discussion about, there was a really outside the box thought of removing the playground and putting that on 450, increasing the playground area in the pavilion to include parking. So reversing the playground area from the pavilion area over to 450 and that parking that we couldn't use on 450 over to the pavilion area. It was a really long meeting. So then another resident discussed multiple egress options. Sergeant Glock explained challenges to egress issues relating to Pascack Road and funneling cars and creating a bottleneck. There was suggestions to have a one-lane traffic on Wayne Place. Let's see. And there was discussion about gravitational centers that people have to walk to. There was thought that there are policies in place for municipalities to have sidewalks around these pedestrian centers, shopping center, playgrounds, and schools. And then from what I understand, and Mr. Kimmick, tell me if I'm wrong, I think we said that, but that is for new building, not for existing. Is that correct?
Well, I did not say that. I said that the general premise is to, if you, to check your master plan with regard to your circulation plan element within your master plan. And most master plans, I haven't done that, by the way, most master plans talk about expanding your pedestrian use of sidewalks, and typically that emanates from centers where people are coming or going to, i.e. schools, shopping centers, recreation facilities. So I didn't really differentiate between new and old. I believe that there was discussion about the law if you were to provide sidewalks. I think that's what the discussion was, and that the law says if you build a new facility,
Yes.
then you must have sidewalks fronting it.
Right.
Correct? Right.
Right, that's correct. And we discussed that we are not, because I think there was some conversation about us being in violation because we didn't have sidewalks. And then it was clarified that that's only if you have a new build, if you're building a new, area.
Correct.
You have those sidewalks, right?
Correct.
So you're not in violation. All
Correct.
right. So did I miss anything? Did I miss anything?
Are you asking me, Council President?
I would just like to add,
No, I'm asking everyone because we're all.
regarding the open space grant, yes, we did apply, but as we know, we have up until when we accept the money to refuse it. And so if we decide that that space is better used for safety and traffic, just because we applied for the grant, does that mean we obliged to accept it?
Okay. Okay. All right. And that's the update. So now we don't have to put it on conference.
Can I just ask some questions?
Sure, you can stay there. You can stay there. Yeah.
In terms of the meeting, what was the Board of Ed? What was their input?
So they definitely agreed something needed to be done. They gave one was on the phone and gave some recommendations to reversing the traffic flow pattern and said that that's been done in Westwood and they've seen it very successful. It took some training and some getting used to, but it ultimately worked. And the other person, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he agreed he liked the loop around idea, but understands that we have some space constraints. And then we talked about extra, like what we do at George School, what we do at the high school, where you have people helping them out of the car quickly. And there's a lot of them having a sign up where parents have to sign up. That's what they do at George. So he and I discussed that. And then we were going to touch base to really kind of firm out what action item number 1 was going to be. So as it pertained to that specific process change.
Do you know where the change happened in Westwood? Like where?
I believe it was Berkeley.
Berkeley? Okay. All right.
They also mentioned that they will be expanding Washington School.
Yes.
Okay.
They did.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Feeney, just 1 second. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Feeney.
Yeah, I just have 2 questions. Did the police have an additional recommendation or is their recommendation still sidewalks?
The police they recommended sidewalks.
Okay, and then So, and in addition to that, when they were speaking about people are still walking in the streets, did they have could they tell us what schools people were still walking in the streets? Because George School, it's not a good example because there really are no sidewalks except that run up the hill. Like I know off Calvin Street, people park there and they use the cut through, but there's no sidewalks there, but it is a side street and is much less active than the other main roads. And then, they pull up kind of like that little dead end into the back of George School, which there's no sidewalks there also. So I think that's just something to note for people who aren't familiar with those areas. And then, overall with the loop, I heard there was somebody that said that they were talking about taking away teachers' parking. Or
Not in these meeting minutes.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I thought maybe somebody said at the last council meeting that they said to not have I just want to say, the teachers should be close to the building. It's their work environment. I think that's the best for them. So I don't think, I'm not sure who said it. I believe it was at the last council meeting. Someone talked about taking away the teachers' parking.
So all right. So let me just say that, that's very teacher centric. I'm just going to put that right out there and be super transparent. We have to be resident centric. So I've never understood
sorry.
that.
I'm
hang
sorry,
on.
I just wasn't finished.
Oh, okay.
So I
Finish.
just want to say, taking away the teacher's parking lot, I don't think is the right decision. That's a very narrow space. There's not enough room to turn around or to make a loop there to do that. So that's, I had thought about that afterwards and I thought there's not enough room there. There's only, I think, about 15 spots and it's not even double parking. It's just a single row right in front of the school.
Yeah. So I think what was recommended in that first meeting, I don't have the meeting minutes in front of me, but I think what the conversation was constructing the loop around. And in doing so, you may be losing those teacher spots and putting them elsewhere. And I just want to I really need to state this. I've worked for multiple organizations. And when you are, especially in I'm going to say the medical field, doctors, nurses, sometimes they get bussed into work to leave those spots for the patients and their families. We are very teacher centric if we're saying we can't create a better, safer traffic flow because we want the teachers to have their spot. So that's all I'm saying on that. But I'm going to let
Right. So I wasn't really being teacher centric. I was being more space sensitive to the availability of the space that's there. But I also, one question to Mr. Yukimic, if the Board of Ed expands the school based upon the requirements that you talked about with the, the new laws, I know it's not a new structure, but it's an expansion. Would the Board of Ed then be required to put sidewalks in?
Well, the only sidewalks on first blush that I would say would be sidewalks fronting their facility, and there's already sidewalks there.
So no additional sidewalks, they would not be required to put them in?
Right, nothing beyond the property itself.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to go?
yes, I'm
All
sorry.
right. Lenny Sabino, 747 White Birch Road here in the township. First of all, I want to thank the mayor, President, Tom, Boswell Engineering, and the police department for participating in this committee. As the council president mentioned, we had 2 meetings, and most recently, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, when we had our last one. In the first meeting, there were a number of recommendations that were made by the residents. And has the mayor and council seen, well, I know the mayor and Tom and probably Mark have seen this, but someone took our recommendations, put it on a piece of paper, and literally wrote a couple of sentences on each recommendation. What I would like to know from the mayor and council is, or even Boswell, what subject matter professionals and experts were used in order to determine the responses for each one of our recommendations. Okay? Can someone respond?
I'll respond because I helped prepare the document.
Yep.
At least I think I did, if I'm seeing it correctly from here. It's in green
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yes, those were the questions that were posed from the minutes of the first meeting. And then myself, the administrator, the chief of police, and John Yakimic from Boswell had at least one meeting, maybe two meetings to discuss and come up with those responses.
Okay, so basically, John Yakimic?
Yakimic, you got it.
Okay, so is he an expert in traffic engineering? Can you provide that response? Are you?
Mr. Ukemic, you can answer if you can hear.
So, expert in traffic engineering, I provided testimony with regard to traffic engineering. We have traffic engineering subject matter experts that are more experienced than I am in the subject matter. So I don't want to mince words, but am I the highest expert that exists with traffic engineering at Boswell Engineering? No, I am not. There is at least one other person that has better traffic engineering credentials than I do.
And then my next question is, if this document was prepared by Boswell, is this something that we would expect from a professional engineer of Boswell's expertise? Just a white piece of paper? If the mayor and council has not seen this, please do read this. Sorry?
I'm not sure what you have there.
Yeah, she wouldn't have seen it. I think it's only handed to the committee,
It was on to the committee.
you know.
Apparently Boswell was involved in preparation of that document. And if Boswell's our town engineer, and they got paid for that document, it's not on their letterhead, to me, it offers no credence. And subject matter professionals were not involved in preparing the responses to the residents' recommendations. The next question I have, oh, and by the way, if we paid, the township paid for that document, then I would ask the mayor and council to look at their invoices and really question if we got value for that preparation of that document. The next one I want to, and Susan, please keep me honest. I know we only have 5 minutes. I have a lot of documents.
3 minutes to go. You're doing fine.
Okay, great. Next document I want to discuss is back in November of 2014, the state of New Jersey Department of Transportation put together a New Jersey school zone design guide. Has everyone in the mayor and council, have you all read this?
I've seen
you
it
seen it?
before, yes.
Have you read it?
I have not.
Basically, this is the guidance that was provided by the state of New Jersey to all the municipalities on how do we ensure safety of our students going to school, right? So, Mr. Yakimic, are you very familiar with this document? Have you seen it? Have you read it? I don't know if you can see it.
It's the New Jersey School Zone Design Guide.
Yeah, I'm aware of the document, yes.
Okay. Did you use this document in preparing your February 2023 response to the mayor and council? Did you look at it?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the February 2023 document to the mayor and council.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared for this this evening.
Sorry. Okay.
There's a document, Boswell Engineering, February 7, 2023, addressed to Mayor Peter Calamari. Mayor, has the mayor and council, I know Mayor, it was addressed to you. Has the council seen this document that recommended sidewalks?
I believe it was in the budget binders when we presented it as a capital project.
Okay.
Okay. So with that, did you review, the question I have for you, Mr. Yakimic, is this only addresses sidewalks. Did you consider any of the other recommendations outside of sidewalks that were included in the state guidance on
No.
school zone? Why not? Please provide me a response to that.
Because sidewalks in my mind are much more important.
Hold up a minute.
Hang on one second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Council President, if I can address one thing.
Sure.
In all due respect to Mr. Sabino, to the council, to what's happening right now, Mr. Yakimic was not invited for this. He was not prepared for this. And I think it's extremely unfair to put him in an adversarial position that he's in right now. He's here to discuss a resolution pertaining to Woodfield Road access even. And, that needs to be said. This is not fair to our profession.
Okay, so
I-
you can address the questions to me then, Mr. Sabino. I tend to agree that he wasn't necessarily prepared for a question and answer, but, I do have, hopefully it is on the conference agenda for discussion, so hopefully there'll be more answers there. With that said, you can address any questions you have to me, and then I will get you,
Okay.
those answers.
Okay. Well, again, I was on the impression that he was here because we were going to discuss the sidewalks,
Mhm.
right?
I initially was as well. So it's fine. We can
Right.
just,
But again,
Yeah.
addressing his February 7th, 2023 letter,
okay.
which recommended sidewalks. And my question was, as a professional engineer, and he mentioned that he's familiar with the design guide, which talks about other alternatives outside of sidewalks.
Mhm.
Why did his report not consider other options? And to me, I think that's a valid question. And it's a question we spoke at the committee that maybe he was told sidewalks is the answer. Do not look at other options, including, and I will make, give me 1 second, please. Now, in this document, there's something called traffic calming. Don't know if
Traffic
everyone's
calming?
familiar with
Mhm.
traffic calming.
Oh, okay.
CALMING, which gives other alternatives to sidewalks, which would reasonably ensure the safety of our students. And it's going to get worse. I mean, everyone's aware of the Viviano, Franklin Court, Gorga Place developments that are going up. The traffic is going to get worse. A couple of other points. I mean, I have a lot of points, but Susan, I would have maybe about a minute left.
Not even
About
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Mr. Yakimic mentioned the master plan and the
Mhm.
circulation plan. He brought it up. I then,
Mhm.
for the
You can
mayor
ask
and
me,
council, in case you don't know, I am the chairman of the planning board here in this town. And as the mayor and Tom knows, 2 months ago, I asked Joe Burgess to come in and speak to the planning board and reference the revision of the master plan and all the recommendations to make sure that this town adhered to the recommendations that were prepared by Stan, our former town planner. Unfortunately, we haven't had a planning board able to come back to us.
5.
Sorry?
But who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting 2 months? But Mr. Yakimic mentioned the circulation plan. Well, one of the recommendations made by Stan, the former town planner.
You have to close it up soon.
Oh, okay. Last point.
Finish it. Yeah.
Last point was our master plan did not have a circulation plan.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Yakimic, to answer your question, our master plan does not have a circulation plan, which would detail the flow of traffic around town. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a lot more points, but I want to give my esteemed neighbors some more time.
And if the time limit does, impede your ability to ask questions, please feel free to email questions to the council, all of us, including the mayor and the administrator, and we will answer your questions
Okay.
via email. And then you can
Okay.
disseminate as you need to.
My only recommendation is, if you haven't read this, please read it.
Thank you. We will, for sure.
Council President, do we have another meeting coming up with the Safe Streets? We
The
decided-
traffic flow,
Yeah,
we will discuss that, I guess, at,
college.
on conference. We can discuss the next meeting for a traffic flow meeting. The next date for the traffic flow meeting. We can discuss on conference.
Hi, my name is Matthew and I live on Wayne Place. I'd like to concede my 5 minutes
Yes.
to my neighbor again,
We
Len.
can't do that.
You
We're
can't
not
do
allowed
that?
to do that. Oh, that was super
Only
nice.
Congress could do that.
I know, that's been tried. I
Okay, at
know.
least I had to try, I didn't know.
All right. If you don't try, it's always no, right?
I appreciate hearing the laughter. Emily Kratzer, White Birch Road, and we realize this is an ongoing conversation. Oh, sorry. That's the joy of being vertically challenged. Hey, Ricky. Anyway, we know this is an ongoing discussion, and we appreciate the fact that you're listening to our points. We know that there's a lot more that we need to resolve in the process. I wanted to just loop back very quickly to the business about overnight parking and using the reservations via computer. In 2017, I had a severe eye infection, and so I'm very, very conscious that not everyone can actually look at a computer screen. So you have people out there who might have visual impairments. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? You can come up.
Michael Ullman.
Okay.
The trenching in front of on Hudson and the replacement, since that road was just redone, what's the plan to remediate that in the long term or the short term? It's already sinking, so I was just wondering if there's a plan there.
Okay.
And that was really it.
All right, so hold on a second. Is that on either of your radar?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I don't remember all the streets, but there was about 18 streets that were being done by PSE&G. Was it a PSE&G job that you're referring to?
Right.
I have no idea. It's right in front.
It was the gas.
Oh, it's a gas line, right. So there's a moratorium on that road because it was recently paved. So the PSE&G is responsible for paving curb to curb. So all the pavement will be redone from curb to curb.
And then, is there capacity in that new, I guess, feed or line to support the anticipated DPW building? Because I know there was an issue with the firehouse where we couldn't use a natural gas generator because there wasn't enough throughput in the piping to deliver the gas. At least I believe it was a challenge at one point. I don't know if that was eventually remediated, but there wasn't capacity. So I'm just wondering.
While it's being trenched, if we thought about that and did that? Yeah. All right, hang on. If you don't have the answer, we could always.
My recollection, Mr. Ullman, on that was that generator had to be sized to that building, and it is on the large size, as everyone knows. That PSE&G, I don't want to say cannot, but they do not, as a matter of course, run gas lines to accommodate a single generator like that along their piping route. And so that's why we had to go to a diesel option.
Understood, but so it certainly required a larger generator. I'm assuming any building that's going to be put up there based on the presentations we've seen are quite large, and there's potential to include a second function within the township function there.
Right.
So will it be large enough to support that type of building, I guess is the question. Since we have some preliminary designs, are we just going to have to rip up the street again in a year when the building gets started?
So that's a great question that I cannot answer. I don't know if the administrator has the answer. If not, I think they can get us the answer.
I mean, again, what I would say is kind of the same answer. I don't know the size generator that would be spec'd for that new building, but perhaps it will have to be diesel also.
How about just the building itself? I mean, we went from like a 2-car garage to a 2-story building with 5 bays and multiple, supports.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying, right? Like
I think so, yeah.
Then maybe I misunderstood. I thought you were speaking specifically to the generator or the backup generator, not the facility itself.
Well, the facility itself, and again, I'm sorry for having a little disconnect here. The facility itself, as far as heating and like that for gas, I mean, I'm no expert, but I'm going to say that can definitely be handled by the existing high-pressure lines that they're running nowadays. A backup generator, like I said, they don't guarantee that they can support one that size. They can support residential ones, but they can't support that size, I don't believe. And so when the time comes, when the final specs are done, we'll see what size generator is required. We'll check with PSE&G if they can support it, fine. If not, we'll spec out a diesel generator.
Thank you. And just based on that reply, do we have, like, where does the design for the new building stand at the moment? The last meeting I attended, it was presented that there would be potentially moving the police department into the building, and just, have we moved forward with anything on that?
I actually have that on the agenda for tonight to discuss in conference because I have some of the similar questions.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I mean, if
you want to
Council President,
answer?
yeah, I can answer that one very quickly.
Okay.
We did charge the architect still with looking to see if he can renovate their existing space to accommodate their needs. We expect to have that analysis done hopefully by the meeting in September.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe Councilwoman Feeney had a question.
Just for Mr. DeCarlo, how long is the moratorium for, or do we have to submit information to get the moratorium listed? How does that work if they do that on a road?
John, is it 3 years? It's 3 years? 3 years.
Okay, sorry. Oh, I see your fingers. Sorry, 3 years. Yes, thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Okay, anyone, any questions? Yeah. All right, motion to close public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Ordinance number 23-10, and ordinance prescribing fees for use of township facilities. This is adoption and second reading. Resolution number 23-290, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 23-10. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. Councilman Feeney's low. I almost can't hear her.
Stacy, can you get any closer to your microphone? Because it's hard.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
it's better.
much better.
It's better.
We're having some storms here, so if you lose me, we're in a thunderstorm, just roll in.
Okay.
It'll be my way.
So any discussion?
No, thanks.
Nope. Nothing? Okay. Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 23-10.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 23-10 at second reading by title.
So moved.
Okay, Councilwoman Feeney
I'll
moved,
second.
yeah, Councilman, Sears second. Roll call, Sue, please.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. Ordinance number 23-11, an ordinance amending tree removal provisions with respect to permitting within the Township of Washington. Resolution number 23-291, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 23-11.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. Discussion? Okay, motion to close public hearing for ordinance 23-11.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 23-11 at second reading by title.
So moved.
Second. Okay, Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay. The following items have been determined. Oh, sorry, introduction, first reading, there are none. Okay. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from consent agenda. Anyone have any resolutions to be removed?
Yes, 293, 297, 301.
299, please.
Any others? Okay,
Sorry, what was your two,
Yeah.
290, 293,
297?
297, and
299.
301.
Okay.
Daisy was 299.
299, okay. I'm
And I'm
good.
sorry, what does Councilwoman Velez want?
299.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution number 23-292, resolution number 23-294, resolution number 23-295, resolution number 23-296, resolution number 23-298, resolution number 20,
298, it was 2981 that Councilman Sears you
no,
want?
No,
It's
two-
okay.
that's okay.
It's 3, 7, 9, and 1.
No, it
Right?
was,
Right.
379.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'd like you to remove that, I had a question on that, sorry, I thought we were, but somebody said it also.
okay, so we'll remove 23-298. And resolution number 23-302, resolution number 23-303.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes,
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 23-293.
Yes, Council President.
Motion and second.
May I have a motion?
Oh.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yes. Can I have a clearer explanation on what the mayor is actually going to execute as an access agreement? Ken, maybe you
Okay,
can.
so that's why Mr. Kimmick's here, but I'll tell you part of it. There's at the shopping center, years ago, there was a spill from the dry cleaners, and there's been years of delineations through a property that we have close by, and it's turned out they can't get to do the full delineation. So the LSRP, the licensed site remediation professional, has requested access to put some monitoring wells along Woodfield Road. John, you could jump in and correct me if I'm wrong.
That was the second iteration, taking this
Years to get
Well,
this.
it's taken us a long time to get to this. And we've, John Boswell's gone through their, all of their drawings and all of the proposals, et cetera, and we've come up with the access agreement, which I would involve in negotiating, to get things that we need in terms of protection, indemnifications, insurance, control over, what can be done, et cetera. And this was the final product. And as John said, it may have been 3 years or 2 years. It's a long time since that they've been trying to, bring this in, and they've gotten an extension from DEP, but DEP is requiring it. So they're trying to button it up. As of today, I actually got in the insurance certificates. We also got the bond money posted already. So everything is in line. And the agreement itself, I had given to Sue, right, which was probably in the packet, right? Okay, so that's the access agreement.
Okay, so
And by the way, it's similar to, but a little more extensive than, you've done other access agreements where along Cleveland, when they're doing environmental, there was Salt Path Gap, we've had access agreements. And if you remember, we also had a run-in with trying to get our own access agreement one time. You have to allow access, you can't deny access.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of where we are.
So we, excuse me if I'm cutting in, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we have this access agreement because we have monitoring wells on our property.
No, they want to put monitoring
On ours.
on Whitfield Road, on the side of Whitfield.
Okay.
So they can't do it without our permission, so to speak. Just like they can't put it on the right of way without permission.
Correct.
Madam President, the council, if I could just a little bit more clarity. So
I wasn't clear?
No, you were very clear, but a little bit of history, why they are where they are. Originally, they wanted to put the monitoring wells in our land, which is immediately south of the library, but it's heavily encumbered by wetlands and also has a Bergen County Utilities Authority trunk sewer line. And one of my concerns was that they're going to do damage to the trunk sewer line. Plus, they had to get permission from the sewer authority to traverse the property and to install them there. They were unable to get that from the sewer authority, so then they suggested to putting four of these along within the right of way immediately adjacent to it. So there's going to be, which I thought was a good idea. They're not going to be opening up the road. They're going to be placing these immediately off of the sidewalk and in the grass area. That is on that would be the west side of Woodfield Road, just south of the library. It'll be in front of a couple of across from a couple of residential houses. So it's prudent for them to inform them what is going on. But I think after 2 years of negotiation, this is the best. We cannot reasonably stop them from doing what they're trying to do to clean up their site. So it took 2 years of negotiation. I think this is the best that I'm recommending and Ken's recommending that the council agree to this agreement.
Okay. Roll
Okay.
call. Thank you.
Cleaners.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll call on this.
Councilman Calcium.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay, so resolution number 23-297. Have a motion?
Question?
Yeah, on it.
Motion to
No,
discuss.
motion.
Motion to discuss, yeah.
Yes, second.
Okay, and second,
I'm
okay.
sorry, whose motion?
I think Councilman Cassian,
Yeah.
and then Councilman Sears. Okay, discussion.
A question on a liquor license. Charlie Brown's is out of business. Does the corporation hold a liquor license, and do we have a right to take that liquor license back since they are no longer a functional restaurant in town? Or that stays with the
I think
corporation?
I think they can sell it.
They can keep renewing it. It's
Okay.
become a pocket license, and just because it's not currently operational doesn't mean it's
Okay.
forfeited.
Right, thank you. That answered my question.
Okay, so Sue, roll call on that?
Councilman Cassium.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. So I know, Mr. Yukimic, we only had you here and you were present, and I appreciate that for the resolution. So if you would like to drop off, that would be fine, unless you want to stay. That's up to you.
Well, thank you very much. I'll jump off.
If any questions come about, including the ones that were posed earlier by the residents, I'll work with Mr. DeCarlo and the mayor to respond to those accordingly.
That would be great. I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you very
you.
much, everyone.
Thanks so much. Okay, resolution
299 days.
Okay, but yeah,
You want to, we did, that's 298, that's the same
Yeah,
issue,
same
so
one,
we
yeah.
did that together?
Well,
Or just did it-
298, Councilwoman Feeney pulled.
Field motion.
thank
I'm
you,
assuming it's the same.
thank you.
Actually,
Yeah,
there's a separate question, but I'll motion for this one to get it done.
For 301?
are we doing 23,298 or it's the
298, I think we're up
same
to.
answer was,
290. My question was more around the, where is this one located actually?
we can barely hear you.
Yeah.
Say
Sorry.
it again?
Where is this located?
This restaurant?
Yeah, well, no, Sal's, was this in the,
It used to be in a shopping center.
that's what I thought. It used to be in the shopping
There's
center.
a liquor store, bar in the back.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I wanted to know how long it's been inactive for, if we could find out, Mr. DeCarlo or Sue?
Years.
It's gotta be at
15
least-
years.
Yeah.
At least 10 years.
Between
Okay.
15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So who keeps renewing
Every year,
That's-
they have to apply. Every year they have to go through and apply and get approval by the state.
So my question really is around, if this has been inactive for so many years, is there I know there's no, had looked it up, there's no moratorium with the ABC, but is there, should we reach out to them to find out what's going on? Are they just holding on to it because they can't sell it? Or I was just wondering if that was possible.
Okay, I think Sue can answer that.
Councilwoman Feeney, they have been trying and trying and trying. They have reached out to people. When people call here looking to see if we have any licenses available, I put them in direct contact with them. So it's ongoing. They've come close a few times, but it has not come to be for whatever reason, one reason or another.
Yeah,
So
and I
they
know
are
that,
actually trying.
yeah, and there's no sunsetting and there's no moratorium on a liquor license. Okay, just wanted to see if there was, any action. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're gonna do roll call on that since we discussed it.
Okay.
Resolution, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Councilman Cassio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. Okay, resolution number 23-299, may I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, discussion.
All right, so at the last meeting, I know Mr. DeCarlo answered a bunch of your questions, and I'm sorry I couldn't be here for that meeting. I did have a bunch of questions, which I thank the mayor and Mr. DeCarlo for answering. But at this time, there are still some questions related to our change in policy for our employees. Particularly Section 3 right now. A lot, like I said, a lot of the questions have been answered. But when we talk about the baseline shall revert to NJ Direct 10 or 15, if it's no longer offered, that top tiered plan. At this moment, I have not been able to see what that top tiered plan is. And as somebody who has had to use excessive insurance over the last 5 years, I want to make sure that these questions are answered. Also, I looked into with Mr. DeCarlo's help, which townships have this difference card. And I would like to speak to see what kind of success and how this works within their municipalities and if their employees are happy. So I just want to vote separately. But I think it's important that we make sure our employees are happy with what they have in front of them. The difference card, it doesn't look that complicated to operate, to submit your plans. Everybody that I've asked questions for have been very helpful, but I'm just not ready to vote on that yet. If we could put this on hold, I would appreciate it, but otherwise, I just want to bring light to my vote not being ready.
So you're asking, are you motioning to table that?
Yes. Can I don't know, can I do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Councilwoman Feeney.
Because I had some questions too around doctor accessibility.
Okay. All right, so roll call to table, resolution number 23-299. That's the health benefits for employees of the Township of Washington.
Council President, question for the mayor.
Mhm.
Do we have a time frame to approve this, Mr. Mayor?
An enrollment period?
Thank you, Tom. I was just going to bring that up also. We'd like to make the change for 2024. So the latest we should really go is the second meeting in September. Yeah, because it has a 60-day implementation time from there. Of course, nothing takes 60 days. It will probably go a little longer. So I would ask, if you have questions, please send them to Mark and I, but try and make them comprehensive because we can't keep extending the deadline to make the decision. So, think of all your questions that you can. I don't want to say we won't answer future ones, but we can't keep going back and forth and put that time frame in jeopardy if we decide to move ahead with the program.
Okay, so Sue, roll call to table that resolution.
One question, Madam President.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. If I'd like to hear, since you were all here, some of the opinions that you have on this to discuss. I know NJ Direct 10, as an educator, it's fabulous. It works very well for us. So I'm open to hear the council's opinion.
Oh, yeah, a motion to table at this point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a.
Right, but I had a question before we vote. I wanted to know if the town had Mr. DiCarlo and the mayor had polled the employees to see if they find out about their doctors, to see what doctors would be available.
Hang on.
Hold on a second. Yeah.
Council
So-
President, I heard her question. I can answer it if it's okay with you.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Councilwoman Feeney, it's still the state health benefits plan, so nothing will change for doctors. There's no referrals. No doctors are going to change. You're not going to be forced to select new doctors. So the doctors a member has now would be the same doctors available to them with this plan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So voting on tabling it? Okay.
We can't
You want to
discuss that now,
discuss? So I can let you know, for me,
You want
we were
to
up.
withdraw your motion? You want to discuss it?
I would like to discuss it.
Okay, so you're withdrawing the motion for
Yes,
discussion?
yes.
Okay.
Wait, I have a question about that. Can't we discuss it even with the motion to table it as part of the discussion?
Yes.
So she doesn't need to withdraw our motion. We can
No,
discuss.
you have a motion, you have a second, it's to table, and now you can have a discussion about that or about the issues if you want.
So it was my understanding that Mr. DiCarlo had explained in detail, basically, that nothing would change for them, but there was a significant savings overall to the town, but that, everything there, nothing would change for the employee. So with that happens all the time in corporate America. It happens in the healthcare. We change insurances, and usually we do get impacted, and our coverage changes. To hear that it's not going to change for them, it was a no-brainer for me to vote to move forward with it.
Councilman Cassidy, did you?
Yeah, the only issue I have, is section 3, because then a top tiered plan will be offered. Why do we always have to offer the top tier? There's plenty of options.
I think it was comparable to what they're already receiving.
Oh, I
So it's.
I understand. I understand what I'm saying. You might be forcing yourself into a tight bind when it comes to budget. That's all.
It was my understanding that this was less cost prohibitive and more
Yeah, it's a little.
fiscally friendly.
I totally understand Councilman Cassio's concern and Councilwoman Velez, because section 3 is kind of hard to predict because that top tier plan doesn't exist. They're saying if 10 and 15 go away by choice of state health benefits plan, not ours, that we would provide that. But so we have contractual employees and non-contractual employees. Obviously, everyone knows that. So contractual employees with the police, that's where that clause is, that we must provide equal to or better than
Right.
Direct 10, Direct 15. DPW is like very simple, where it says they essentially
or receive what other union employees get. So it kind of mirrors what the police contract says without saying it. So, and I look at section 3 as not that it only protects the employee, but essentially saying if the difference card wasn't there, it's not saying the difference card, but that's who we would go with. And we don't get another HAR program, the health reimbursement account, then it would revert back to 10 or 15. And if 10 and 15 don't exist because of the state health benefits plan, sorry, I was talking to Mike, then that's where that top, the top tier plan is offered. But I'd imagine there would have to be a lot more work to be done regardless of the difference card, because the difference card wouldn't be getting rid of direct 10 or direct 15. It would be the state health benefits plan that it did. So they would be getting rid of it regardless of whether Washington Township had, the difference card or some other card.
Do you know
I
if
hope that
that's,
answers your question.
sorry, do you know if that's an easy transition back? Should we not be happy?
Yes, that question has been brought up at every meeting because it's a concern, and it's a valid concern of every member to assure that we could go back.
Would we be able to go back mid-year if, say, things were not well at all, or would we have to wait to open enrollment?
I can't.
Open enrollment.
Open enrollment.
Open enrollment.
I'd hate to assume, make an assumption, and give you an answer. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know that.
That's okay. I was just,
I would imagine it would probably be during open enrollment or at the end of the year.
okay, thank you.
All right, so
Please, like we ask the employees, please, if you have questions, send them to us, because every question is important. People are very concerned about health benefits. We all understand that. We want to make sure we're going into this with our eyes wide open and trying to not miss anything. So there's no stupid question in this area. Please ask.
I mean, I'm comfortable putting this on the first meeting, if we agree. That way I don't, yes, I would like to table it, but if we could put this on the first meeting, because I know that it's time sensitive.
Right.
So I'm okay doing that if council agrees.
Council President, if I may just add one more bit of information to the council. Of course, I'm not trying to force you to vote on it tonight, but we have been assured that this is not binding in any way, that we go with the difference card if this resolution was passed this evening. Again, I understand you'd be taking my word for it, but I just want to make sure everybody knew that.
Yeah, how it was explained to me, the resolution authorizes me to sign the agreement, but it does not force me to sign the agreement. So let's say even if you pass the resolution and then a question comes up the day after that said, put the brakes on, we can say, no, we're not changing. So again, the resolution only authorizes me to sign like every other contract, but it doesn't necessarily lock us in until we're signed.
okay, so there was a motion. We're going to motion to table.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yep. Roll call.
And Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes,
Council President Morgan.
Yes.
thank you.
Council President, can we go back to 23-292? I overlooked it on my paperwork here. Couple of comments.
Motion to,
The budget finished 23-301 first, then go back, because you already did the. Yes,
okay.
yeah, go to
I don't-
30, yeah, that finishes it, and then you'll have to reopen the other.
Okay, resolution number 23-301. Motion.
So,
Okay, discussion.
yes, could you give me an explanation of this, please?
This is 301.
Yes.
Okay.
Council President, and Councilman Sears, I don't specifically know the answer, but I could tell you that, just from reading this, I'm gathering the assumption that they posted a performance bond. And then reading it, that, portion of the performance bond was utilized and they are now returning it. But, I'd have to respectfully look into it to get a definite answer on that.
We made a motion to table this to get a clear explanation.
Okay.
Councilman Sears, do you have like the specific direction for me to go?
I just want a clear explanation of the $6,000 payout and how it came about here.
Second.
Is that okay? Are we done with discussion? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So a motion was on to table it and I will second. Do roll call for that.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay, so then we're going to open.
Well, let me ask you this. You're just asking questions now, or you actually trying to not
Change
ask the resolution, is it the resolution, or you just want to fill?
No, I have a couple of questions on the POs.
All right, so,
Sorry, I'm bringing it up tonight, but I just,
okay,
nothing.
so, you already passed that, so why don't you make a motion to reconsider the resolution,
Okay,
right?
all right.
Ken, I'm not second guessing you, but why doesn't Tom ask us questions and then if he wants to change his vote, we can reopen it?
I know that, but
Okay.
you know, that it was passed, so it's done.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I mean-
you know, it's, I know, it's, you know,
Reconsider.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have
You
a
can do it
motion.
Motion to reconsider resolution number 23-292.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Just go all in favor of it.
all right. All,
Okay.
yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead. discuss.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going through the POs. I have a couple of questions, and I'm sorry I'm hitting the administrator tonight with 4 of these POs that I'm looking at. I noticed that Boswell had 59 POs listed in the documents we received tonight.
What page you on, Tom?
This is all the POs, the big document.
Yes.
Okay.
Since it's in one page.
You know, well, I'm gonna give them the pages, you know. So I counted up the 59 POs that Boswell was put in for a total of $57,336.50. The first one I would like to ask you about would be on page 2. And it would be 20, towards the bottom, 23-0047. It just says for a total of $4,060, general engineering.
That's his monthly fee for his retainer.
That's his monthly fee?
That's monthly fee, yes.
God bless him. All right, on page 3 at the bottom, $9,150 for land surveying for the DPW building.
They had to conduct a complete survey of the property in anticipation of the new DPW facility.
And that will be part of the engineering plan that we will eventually get.
The survey, I'm in possession of the survey.
Then on page 4 at the top, $9,505.50 for various roads. What does that mean?
That's an old ordinance, 13-06. If you remember, during our capital budget discussions, I told you I'd be able to offset the need and ask for funding in 2023 based on older road improvement ordinances.
Okay.
So that ordinance was created in 2013, and that's just the wording they used.
We're just paying them now on it?
No.
Oh,
It's
now.
new
Okay.
fees. I'm utilizing an old ordinance that had a balance in it.
Gotcha, okay.
That had available funds.
And on page 14, again, 01281, it's $821.25, various roads. Is that the same as the other one?
I'm sorry, what was the,
It's,
yes, 821, yes. Yes.
Okay,
Just
thank you.
using an old account to pay, it had a balance and it reduced our need for capital, a higher amount of capital funds.
okay,
And it helps us to clean up these old ordinances finally.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, Council President.
Motion to pass resolution number 23-292.
So, second,
Who, okay,
that these two.
whose motion? Who-
I motioned it. and
Daisy
Daisy
second.
Okay, Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to adjourn to conference agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so our next township council meeting will be September 5th, beginning at 7:30. Am I taking your space? I'm sorry.
No, yeah, it's okay. I got plenty of space. It's no problem.
All right, so we're ordinances and legislation, State of New Jersey beekeeping. I believe that's Sue and Mr. Poller. Anything? questions?
This is the one where we got notification from the state of New Jersey that there can't be any municipal laws dealing with beekeeping because the field has been preempted by them. The state has its own laws about it, and you know the state takes the position sometimes that you can't have any laws regulating something that they've already regulated a certain way. Certain things you can do, even though the state might have something, but we got a specific notification from the state itself saying that our beekeeping ordinance should be repealed. I think it's okay to do that. I think we should do it.
Okay.
You know, just
We have a lot of bees.
So to repeal it, you're just.
well,
going-
I'll prepare like an ordinance repeal.
But we had a sample in there.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, did I do it already? Oh, I did it already. Okay, sorry.
So good, you didn't even
Yeah,
know this
yeah,
shit.
tell me.
Okay.
So do we have the next meeting for an introduction?
Okay.
If everybody's in agreement?
Okay,
Yeah.
There you go.
I want to jump like yours, Ken. I'm going to work anymore.
I don't even know what to do.
so we don't have any financials to discuss. Under miscellaneous, we have the DPW and some of my questions, let me think, I wrote this a while ago, so I don't remember what I was asking.
I do have a couple of questions while you're looking that up.
Say it again?
I said I do have a couple of questions if you're looking it up.
Hold on,
Okay.
because you. Is that WCTV?
What happened?
WCTV.
Wow, that thing, yeah.
All right, hold on. Councilwoman Feeney, I'm so sorry. We got sidetracked with all the different votes and everything. Do you still have questions?
You're muted.
You're
You're
muted.
muted.
Sorry, for which, I was just reading the agenda, sorry. Go ahead, say that again, Sue.
You said one question about Mr. Ullman's question?
Oh, that was earlier. It's okay.
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry. And one comment with Daisy? Councilwoman Les?
No, it was earlier, so we're past that item.
And a comment from the mayor?
You know, it was the same item. Yeah, it was.
all of them were earlier.
Yeah, it was all from
My
earlier.
apologies. I wasn't looking at my phone. I was typing away. I apologize.
It's okay. Again, we're having some storms, so my connection's a little fuzzy.
Okay. All right, so moving on, we're going to discuss the DPW. I wanted an update. I wanted to know about, shovel in the ground ideas. I know that we just discussed that the rec department was going to be given a recommendation or findings of a survey, a larger survey that you said they were going to. I just want to know if we, with all of the.
Are you talking DPW or swim club?
We're talking.
I'm sorry, DPW. Yes, sorry, I have that on here too.
No problem.
Yes, DPW, looking for an update and shovel in the ground. This is in response to, I told you I wrote this a while ago. This was in response to the Pascack Press. There was a comment made in there, I think it was Mr. DiCarlo, if I'm remembering it correctly,
I have it here if you want to read it.
Yeah, it was basically, you brought it? So funny.
And I highlighted.
So it was the same. All right, so collective minds. Basically, there was a statement that said we had no timeline, I think it was, on the DPW. So I just wanted to know why that is. We know where it's going, whether we can break ground, start making some progress, and what the plans are for that. So that's the discussion I wanted to have on DPW.
Council President, just as in regards to what was in the PASCAC press, I think it was Mr. Olahan that wrote it. He'll generally send me a few questions. So my intention of saying there was no time limit, I take for granted that's what I said.
Yeah, I can't hear you. No, excuse me.
When I said there's no time
There you
limit,
go.
I didn't essentially mean like, we're going to take our time and it can be in 2026. I meant there was no established time limit that we were given to get the answers by. So I apologize if that was misrepresented by myself, but that was what was meant when I responded to Mr. Olahan.
So if I may, Council President, the other comment that is in here, which kind of shocked me, is the administrator, Mark DiCarlo, said bid specs for the new DPW complex, however, will not likely be issued until a final design decision is made on what to do with the police department. So I don't understand what the police department has to do with the DPW. We voted to get the DPW building built, but somehow, and he could have misquoted you, why would we attach the police department to the DPW building? That's a separate issue altogether. So I'm kind of confused on this statement. How does that come to pass that we would combine both of them? Like, who made that decision?
I think that's what my quote says, that the decision wasn't made. So in my recollection, Mr. Iovino presented that as an option, and the council never made a formal decision that I'm aware of, either striking it down or wanting further, investigation into the matter, or loved it. So that's what my intention was with that answer.
Because I don't understand how that authority that you have to say, we're not going to go ahead with the new DPW building because we're waiting on the police department. It didn't make sense to me. Like, why would you make that statement? Because we already have a clear decision on, we want the DPW building to be built, and we're looking separately on consolidating the police department here. So it's sort of like, where did he come up with this? Did he make this decision? How did his decision be made? It just was confusing. Because we have two separate buildings here. One has nothing to do with the DPW building. And what Council President Morgan said, how long is it going to take to break ground? They'll be going to their second winter, I think,
Right.
out there. And it's not fair to them. It's not. We should not be holding these employees through another winter waiting for a decision on the police department. Two different issues, totally. So,
Right, that's why,
and that's why your decision is, where is Boswell with the plans? And that goes back to the one PO, 9,000 and something, whatever. Like, let's see something. Let's get these
get it moving.
employees, moving. I mean, I'm for, doing a police thing, but we need to get the DPW going. It's way too long. I don't want to see them going through a third and fourth season with no place to work, their vehicles. And this statement kind of shocked me, like, where did this come from? Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Council President, I can respond to some of that also. I see it a little differently, and to put it off by a couple months, I don't think we're talking indefinite, but to put it off a couple months, like I said in my report, to give Anthony enough time to see if he can make a police station work in their existing space. What if he comes back and says, there's just not enough space to make it work? Now we proceeded with a new DPW building when at least the option is there to maybe put the police there if he comes back with that answer. And so, in my opinion, it's worth waiting a couple of months to not make a $5 million decision based if one department can help the other, and if the architect comes back and says, yeah, to make this all compliant, there's just not enough space.
Well, and here's my confusing with that statement,
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, is that when I met with the police chief, the captain, lieutenant, they talked about expanding over here outside, and that would satisfy what their needs were, and then they would come in and redesign this. So again, I can't grasp why we're bringing the police department into a different building. Why would we put a police department in the DPW building? It makes absolutely zero sense. And I understand what you're saying about budget-wise.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know that. It just makes no sense when I met with the police department and they told what they actually needed here. It would satisfy their needs. And then the last council meeting, we talked about condensing this courtroom, and that's what we're looking for to come up. I mean, once the DPW is over in their new building, you have the whole first floor, and you have the basement for the police. You know, you can move over to the senior building, senior section if you want. There's a lot of space. I mean, I don't want to hold up the DPW building any longer.
I agree.
You know,
And I thought we did talk about that in the last meeting.
Yeah.
We talked about that's what we wanted.
We did send
wanted
it back to the architect.
Yeah,
and asked for
because
that
he-
to be done.
We did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We sent it back.
What's to be done?
For, instead of expanding the footprint, we want to rework it, maybe put a second level.
On the
pre-existing, no,
Oh.
pre-existing. Do the stuff here in this building.
Here,
As opposed
here,
to
as opposed to.
expanding.
And that was my discussion with the chief and the captain and the senior lieutenant. And they explained about the new jail system that could be brought in and dropped with a sally port right here. And then they would modify going over there. And that's what I believe what we told the architect to give us. And he came back with some kind of delusional things that made no sense. So
Okay.
I just
Again,
want to see us moving forward.
With all due respect to the senior officers of the department, them saying that they want that and an architect saying it will work are two different things.
Absolutely.
So we have to make sure the architect says it will work. I'm willing to wait 2 months to get that answer for sure, that he can make it work in their existing space. And if he can't, we look at it a little different. I give the architect credit for thinking outside the box and say, hey, you're about to put up a new building. You can maybe get these two things done, get your police space if they need more space, and let the DPW use the existing police.
Well, my
Which
concern is,
wasn't an option when you spoke to the senior officers,
Right.
because they didn't know that the architect would even suggest that.
the only concern is, did the architect actually talk to the police department?
Oh, yes, they have.
You know, because
Many times.
he would have, one of his suggestions obviously was what they told him, is expand to the property line, and you would have sufficient enough for your jail and your sally port, and we would come across this building here and would allow them access. So.
Right,
it's-
that's what we had asked for. We asked,
Yes.
right, to
So-
show us that, and then.
And him thinking out of the box is, we're not paying you to think out of the box. We ask you to work specifically here in this section. Why would I put the police department near 5 bays of DPW? It made no sense to me. But, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, I don't want to belabor it, but
No, no.
again, if I call in an architect for my house and I say one thing and he says, oh, but I'm an architect, have you thought about this? I'm going to consider that outside the box thinking, because I just don't have the wherewithal.
No, I
What he's
understand that.
proposing may totally work. And so again, I'll say it once more. I think it's worth an extra couple months to make sure that he says, hey, if I can reconstruct their existing space and let the DPW do its thing. I think that's worth a 2-month delay, where we were never going to get them in for this winter anyway. And so I'm hoping by next winter, we'll have that decision made long in advance for next
yeah,
winter.
I mean, that's fine. It's just that this article in the paper,
Read differently.
so yeah, it's
Right.
like, well, we're not going to do anything
Yeah,
until,
well, they took a snippet of information
yeah,
without.
and that's why I
And
wanted
I'm
to
not
get
faulting them.
it clarified, like who had the authority to say, this building's not gonna go up until we build this building, and
Right.
where did this whole headline come from?
Right.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
If I may,
That's what we're here for.
so just to understand, so the delay is for the potential vision of seeing it like the fire and ambulance where they're in one building. This would be police and DPW in one building,
You could equate it that way, yes. Yeah.
in one structure. Okay, so that's the delay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so then we have the swim club. So I know part of that, that's what I was talking about. Part of that was answered earlier. But looking for an update, how, I know you said, and then they will get back, the full survey will take place. Once completed, we'll send it to the board for review. Can you put like a timeline to that or actual month so that we can follow up and make sure we're really,
Mark, has that survey been scheduled yet? I just don't remember.
We're awaiting the proposal.
Okay. All right, so we're awaiting the proposal for the survey. Once it takes place, we'll immediately turn it around and hopefully get the surveyors out there ASAP. Yeah, I wish I could look in my crystal ball and give you an exact month.
Yeah.
But
you know what I think would help? I know I whispered it in your ears from the last meeting, but
Sure.
maybe the project tracker, so we can just keep ourselves honest and say, you know, I know we discussed the swim club, either
Yeah.
there's no update right now or this is the update. If we can please just put that as part of our routine updates.
You got it.
So, yeah, because there's so many projects and I feel like we may lose sight of
That's a
some of
good
them.
thing. Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
And the other thing on the swim club, the power was removed at the swim club.
Yes, that's correct.
Weren't we not sure if we were going to keep that as a swim club? And in doing so, we discussed what taking that grant, if we accepted the grant, there was a little bit of language stating that we could, as long as we could, it was just for repairing, we could use that money for repair of the facility.
Correct me
Right.
if
So
I'm
if we-
wrong, Lauren.
We
Oh,
were
sorry.
saying it was being winterized and it was being kept so that it would be just a repair and not a complete destruction. Remember?
I do remember, and
So if we're cutting the power and we're doing all of that, how are we maintaining the building so that it is just a repair and not a complete tear down? Because then it wouldn't be covered by the grant.
again, if I'm recalling correctly, I want to say a few months ago, the Rec Advisory Board came with a recommendation to the council to not continue the facility as a swim club. You all agreed to that, which is what enabled us to go for a grant to demolish the pool and the building.
I don't remember, I didn't know that we made it definitive.
There's additional
Do you remember?
information I could provide if you're interested.
I am,
There's one, I'm sorry.
additional information.
With a gas source there and an electric source there, we were receiving monthly bills from PSE&G. They don't care whether we're consuming energy, just having the hookup was costing us money. It's challenging enough as it is to try and find funding sources. So there was no money in the budget to now to pay for additional bills at the swim club. Unfortunately, they took about 10 months to catch up to billing us, so we had no idea. We argued it to, so we were blue in the face. PSE&G didn't want to know anything. So we had the meters removed. We had the connections removed. Any maintenance to the building is done by DPW. They bring in generators. Like if they need to empty the pool so they're not a safety hazard, they bring in a generator and they use electricity to empty the pools with the water.
So we're still maintaining it.
We're still, yes, of course, we're still maintaining it.
But a decision was made definitively, like we're not making it into.
Yeah, that was the Rec Advisory Board's suggestion.
It was also suggested by Mr. Boswell, by Kevin Boswell, the cost
Yeah.
associated with renovating that building
Yeah.
would be enormous.
Yeah. and,
To being what, sir?
Renovating the building would be, I don't know if he said enormous, but I'm saying enormous. It would cost a lot of money to renovate the building.
All right, so then if that's the case, what is the, shovel in the ground if the survey comes back? When are we looking to do something with the swim club.
So again, we need a funding source for that as well. So,
Well, we have the grant.
Well,
we haven't received that money, but that money's only, we're hoping to receive it. You know, again, to speak candidly, these grants sound great, but we think we're getting the money and they say there's one more piece of paper you got to provide. There's one more document you got to fill out. So the last piece to the puzzle was in the hands of the county. There was a formality they had to do with their council, not the county council, like, you know, in regards to like the municipal council.
Council's council, SEL.
Yeah, council, SEL. Very good, thank you. A better spell. I don't even know where Hudson Avenue is. So that's the answer. So we're still waiting for that. Of course, you know, it'd be the council's decision to appropriate that money towards something. But again, it's only, I think, you know, again, don't hold me to numbers, but in the mid fours somewhere, $438,000. So we are awaiting the proposal from Boswell Engineering for that surveying. We do have a money source for that, thankfully. And I don't know off the top of my head what the turnaround time is for that. Judging on the survey of our facility here for the DPW building, it was roughly about 2 months.
Okay.
From there, that would then direct what the mayor had advised the council of earlier with bringing the conceptual designs of what is anticipated or suggested to be there before to the council, and then cost estimate would come. And then you guys would hopefully approve that, and then whatever the money is for that. So again, I think it's going to be, I don't want to make assumptions, but significantly more than the $430,000 we're getting from, I apologize, I keep not talking to the mic, that we'll be receiving back from the county.
Right, but we did anticipate that when we bought the property. So
Yes.
that, I hope, is still the situation. We're prepared to do something with it because that's the only reason we
Yes, ma'am.
purchased it.
Yes.
And then the grant writer had said how we can continue applying for more grants as we continue to improve. So once we have the survey, hopefully we can get a design and apply for more specific grants.
Yes, if I remember correctly, Desiree, Daisy, they have two different pots of money. One is for land acquisition, one is for property improvement. Now that we've done the land acquisition, we can go after the improvement side of the grants.
And I assume that the grant writer is working on that.
Yes, it was, yes.
It was submitted?
For the first year, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The land, I didn't hear. What was submitted?
Our first round of improvement
Oh, okay.
grant, right, yes.
And we lose that if we don't use it within the year, no?
I'm not sure.
No.
I wouldn't think so. They know we can't move capital projects that quickly, so I wouldn't think so.
That's what I thought he said, you could bank it.
But you can bank it?
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're gonna get the money and then get a project
Right.
going in 12 months.
Not stop, finish, but you can definitely begin it.
Oh, yeah.
You're paying for
Yeah,
things
but you
that are required of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Mark, just a couple questions about this gas issue. So we have back bills from the previous owner?
No, it was bills from when we took over, which I don't know the exact date because that was prior to me.
April, May of last year.
Yes.
And approximately how much were those monthly bills? Ballpark, 500, 2,000?
No,
$7?
I think for the whole year, but again, if everything could go on my time frame, I would love to have things done yesterday, but we were dealing with PSE&G and the formalities of closing it out. So by the time we filled out the paperwork and they received it and accepted it, we were at the end of May. So I think within the whole year, it came to about $6,000.
Okay. 6K.
Yeah. Okay. Again, give or take a little.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then volunteer recognition, I believe, is that what's next? Okay, volunteer recognition. So this was an idea that I did discuss with Councilman Sears, and I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I think it's something we should do, especially just looking at the amount of volunteers that I've worked with over the last 7 years. This year, we have 20 girls in the cheer program, Last year we had 11, the year before that. I mean, they just continue to grow, and there's multiple volunteers throughout our community that are not recognized. They just do it for the altruism component of it. So I would like to have quarterly acknowledgement or celebration or whatever you want to call it, a tribute for our township volunteers. So basically it would allow residents, I may not know what's going on in, the south side of township over there with their, people volunteering, doing whatever. It doesn't get brought to the council meetings. A spot on our website that can allow them to residents to just nominate somebody or submit reasons why this person should be acknowledged, and we can have quarterly volunteer acknowledgements. I guess there's nothing more I can say. So it allows residents to send people that they want recognized for volunteering their time to anything community related, whatever. I don't think there should be any limits to what it is. If it's volunteering to walk a person who's not able to do it, to walk their dog on a weekly basis, that should be something that we should be, raising just to build the unity of our community. I borrowed that from somebody.
Don't ever tell.
Yeah, not have to give credit where credit is due. Thank you, George.
She wrote it.
Oh, she
She's
did.
having, yes, if you want to make it.
Okay, I will. So I'm going to ask that gets placed on our website. And that, I don't want to say the person's name who does that. I think we're not supposed to, right? Right. So is it as simple as just sending an email to ask that this, is I guess, revised on the website, Mark?
I would think so.
Yeah,
Conversation.
we took notes, so
Yeah.
we don't need an email on it.
Yeah.
All right. So it'll be like an interactive kind of thing where you can click on it, a form opens up, you submit who it is, we somehow get notified, and then quarterly we recognize them.
Yeah, it sounds like just what we do for resident inquiries and like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then,
I'm sorry, question regarding that. So if 10 people are nominated, all 10 will be recognized, or?
it's a simple, I recognized 11 girls, I think last year or the year before, in 5 minutes. So it's a simple.
Oh, so you would verbally recognize
They
them?
come,
Oh, I see.
we recognize them, tell them thank you, and give them a certificate. It was a certificate that was made, there was no cost attached to it. It's like just an acknowledgement.
I asked because of the numbers. If there were a large number, like who decides, how many people? That's.
I think that's a good conversation we can have. If it's 15 residents will be recognized this quarter. If we'll let you know when to come. Maybe an email goes back to them. Your volunteer will be recognized on such and such date or something like that.
Okay.
I think it's a good opportunity to catch the township doing something great.
Yeah.
And then just parlay that. So Councilwoman Feeney was having trouble with her connection due to some storms, so she has left the meeting. All right, we already discussed the traffic flow committee update. If there's anything, it's on here, so if there's more that anyone wants to discuss.
I think we should set a new date for our next meeting,
Okay.
maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, in collaboration with the administration and the mayor for the committee meeting, Mr. Sears and I would like to set a new date for the plan a third follow-up for the.
The only thing I can say about that is without the minutes from the last meeting, we don't have anything new to research before that next meeting.
Well, good thing we have time to set that meeting, because
Yeah,
I'll
right.
send you the I'll send you the minutes in my free spare time.
So, maybe, we can do that, our first council meeting in September, because then if you sent it and we don't, I think we'll be in a better position.
And you know what I would like to ask, because I do find that it is a little more difficult for me to be part of the committee if I'm so busy taking meeting minutes.
Sure.
Because I want to do it some justice. I think we can offer out to the committee, anybody who's interested in sharing that responsibility so that we can all have input. Maybe it can be recorded And then, right, are you allowed to do that? You can record it, right? So maybe it can be recorded and then transcribed. So I'm going to put that out there. Not necessarily saying I'll do it. I'll wind up doing it anyway.
I nominate
probably.
Wendy.
All right, I have a feeling I'm going to wind up doing that anyway, but I will record it.
May I ask kind of a comment question?
Sure.
In regards to this committee update? For us that are not on the committee, council it's not on the committee, the first exposure to what was discussed, like for example, the letter that was provided today. So when a resident says, have you seen this? You know, we're in the dark because we don't know, and obviously we can't have that discussion.
I can send the meeting minutes out.
So if there is a way to update us through Sue or any, that way we have, as we have council meetings and residents come up, that way we have an idea of what was discussed.
Yep, sounds good. We can do that.
Thank you.
So I'll send the meeting minutes to Sue. Does that make it then like?
I don't know what the proper
Stuff is.
No, you're
process
sending
is.
minutes of a committee, right?
Right. But she can send that out.
Yeah, you can send it out.
If that's the proper protocol, I don't.
It's be operable.
I was just going to ask that. I was just gonna ask.
Definitely be operable.
Everything is.
Okay, so
everything's
anything that goes is operable.
Everything.
Okay,
Just about.
perfect. I mean, we're not hiding anything, right? The committee is very transparent.
No, I just don't want the
Yeah,
residents to
no.
think that we're not engaged, but we don't know what went down, so.
Yeah. The reason, just to be clear, the reason that all of the council cannot be involved in this, because everyone I'm sure would love to be, is that then it becomes a quorum in the meeting and it violates the sunshine law, correct? Right. So with that, to keep everybody informed and on the same page, I will send meeting minutes out to the committee, and then I will also CC Sue to send out to the council so that they're aware of it. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm asking you. Okay. Let's see what else. And now, Councilman Sears,
Oh, yes.
changes to interest.
Pascack in Washington, Boswell was supposed to reach out to the county. I don't know if they're out there. If I noticed that they did not move the white line back, like you said, 6 feet or something. There's still a problem with people traveling north and east and west on Washington, realizing that they got to move over. I don't know if they put the signs out properly. So, I mean, that's still an issue. And do we have a time frame maybe when I know Boswell is supposed to work on it and talk to the county, so I don't know if there is a time frame on that.
Yes, Councilman Sears, I don't remember the date that we had an in-person meeting at the intersection, but it consisted of me, another representative from Boswell.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I lost my energy today.
Me too.
A representative of Boswell Engineering, myself, County Engineer Nancy Dargis, and County Road Inspector Randy Seitz met out at the intersection. What I was saying is I don't remember the date. We reviewed all the items that were your concerns, which were the no turn on right, which the county is not amendable to changing. It was part of their design, and also discussed the merger, which they are also not amendable to changing. That was part of the whole reason for the design, as it was explained to me, to account for all the volume coming up to the intersection and then moving through the intersection. That's when we looked at the turn radius for the fire trucks, was that day. I don't remember which side of the intersection. One is going to be moved back 6 feet, the stop bar. One is going to be moved back 5 feet. They spray paint marked it. They put in for the work order like the following day. I followed up today with Nancy Dargis, who stated she was going to look into it. So I have no answer yet on when they plan on actually
All right.
moving those stop bars.
Because I haven't seen no movement on that.
Right, no, you're right.
So-
And then I also asked Captain Calamari, who's in charge of the department right now with the chief's vacation, if he could please look into, since the new traffic pattern was put into effect at the intersection, to see if there's any accidents at the intersection, and specifically look to see if any of the accidents were caused by that new merging traffic pattern. So obviously it'll take them a little bit, but hopefully
I did hear from several residents that saying there should be another sign pointing to merge, you know, and they don't see that until all of a sudden they're at that end point where they got to get over.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I know, from my memory banks that there are the signs there. I
right,
can't tell you if there's supposed to be 2 or 3,
okay,
but I know there is the merging signs.
thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, and then status of plans for park on Sussex Road?
Yeah, I put that on. And I know we had plans for it by the engineer, and I believe we have funding. Can you tell me the status of that project?
Yes, Councilman Cassie, I kind of figured when that was on the agenda, so I made sure I got the correct wording. So as you may have been aware, I inherited some unfinished projects.
No.
When I came
Whatever do you mean?
Not said derogatory at all, but that was one, was specifically the bocce ball court, and I'll mention the dog park at Cherry Field, because it's kind of the same reason why it hasn't progressed any further.
I think the dog park was a separate issue, but.
Yeah, it was at Cherry Field, but you'll understand why I brought that up when I give you the answer. So bocce ball was set, I'll say, take my terms loosely, for Martini Park, Seniors Park, and the dog park for Cherry Field. EPA came out with new inland flood protection rules, which essentially, because of, climate change, they've raised the floodplain an additional foot.
Okay.
Which Boswell Engineering recommended will most likely significantly affect those projects at both locations. So that's why I like the dog park. The other part of your question is the funding is there. We have not lost the funding. I think the idea now, is to possibly put it at the swim club, the dog park, and the bocce ball. But again, I'm sure that's going to be presented to the council as part of a broader.
The bocce ball court themselves is not a major concern. It's actually fixing up that particular park, because it's basically, it's a patch of dirt, and it's got one old sewer pipe as a planter. That's what it has.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's got a library. So those plans were nice, they were significant. I understand that things might have changed, but that's a project I think we have the funding for it. I don't think it's that involved, and maybe the plans have to be revised, but I think that's a project that we can probably do in a very short order. And I think the residents, especially the senior residents, will probably enjoy that. A nice place for them to go. So I really like to put that in the front of some things that we have on our agenda, like the DMF and the police department. It's there, the funding's there. We have pretty much 90% of the plans that they have to be revised by a couple of feet. I think we should go ahead and do that. But that's
Like on
just,
the project tracker, you want it?
I'd like to have it on the project tracker. Yes. Okay. All right, a little stroke going on. I'm okay. There you go. So anyway, if we can look into that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then draft invitation for residents along the brook. That was Sue. I know you were looking for some guidance, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what you still want to do. That was just an idea that I came up with.
No, we definitely need to.
There were some ideas that I did share with the administrator that, if he could look into for us as well. And we're still looking into who to send it to and how to determine that.
Okay, so.
Correct?
Yes, so I'm not opposed to, if you want to put it out in front of everybody, I'm happy to hear that.
Okay.
Right, well, I had addressed Mrs. DeCarlo after I had gone down to our tax assessor to just look at her big map to see how you determine who to send the letters to. And when you say 200-foot list, it's not like you're doing a zoning board application. And she said it's very irregular because of the way the land goes and the lines are for the property lines. And then I said we might have land that has just kind of like disappeared. Yeah, I'm here. And then I said that I would speak to Mr. DeCarlo, and he said that, he would meet with myself and the mayor, maybe discuss it together and get some ideas together, and we haven't gotten together yet. So that was just a thought of how to go forward, but we don't know what step next will be, and if it will be. Agree?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But the only thing I'd like to add to that is I think it's best if we send the notification, whatever, the informational letter to all the township residents, on top of just the people that border the brook, because, we have the unnamed tributaries all over the place, as well as it'll have a secondary benefit. So part of our Tier A general stormwater permit, I'm learning about things I never could imagine. We have to do a certain amount. It's actually points. We have to come up with, I think it's 12 or 13 points of how we communicate with the public or educate the public. So at Town Day, we've also already spoke to Councilwoman Velez, and from what I understand, we have a table out, we have the brochures, we have a banner. So that we'll get additional points for communicating with the public and educating them. So it'll have a benefit of twofold by communicating with everybody. And then I think, just to reiterate what the mayor said, since it was going to be a townwide mailing, we extended the offer to all the department heads if they had any important information to share, so we could take advantage of the money that we're going to spend on the mailing. And we've gotten some good input. Actually, everything has been about the brook, so far. And, we told everybody, don't feel compelled to write something, but if they had something important that was in their expertise or in their department, to please get that to us.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna take a break.
Take a break in the closed session.
Yep.
Make a motion to go into closed.
So we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and then we're gonna move into.
Make a motion.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there. Stop jumping on me. We're gonna take a 2-minute break,
up to it.
and then we're gonna go into a closed session. My gosh, they have a motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, who moved?
Cassia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Sears?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
I was informing.
And the drama continues.
You guys are jumping all over me.
Good.
Close.